Hey, it's Molly. Welcome back to the channel as we discuss the Aries Solar Eclipse happening on March 29th, 2025. That's a Saturday at 6:57 a.m. Eastern Time. So be sure and adjust for your location on the planet. The Aries new moon solar eclipse occurs at 9 degrees exactly, where the sun and the moon are conjunct at this degree point in your chart, signaling this is where you will have energy, inspiration, and motivation for a new beginning point that will unfold over this astrological cycle. Now, this is happening right after the equinox energies. This is also occurring right before Neptune moves to 0 degrees of Aries 24 hours later on March 30th. There is a shift here in our sense of self that's taking place. This Mercury is also at 0 degrees of Aries, although retrograde, signaling that we are moving into new territory at multiple levels of our experiences. And a solar eclipse is a very powerful, intentional new start that is also shifting us into new frequencies and new timelines. The world is changing drastically under this Aries solar eclipse portal. And as we move forward through the next 12-month journey of the astrological wheel, since Aries is about what is initiated here in Aries season continues for the full cycle. And so over this next year is how this Aries solar eclipse is going to guide you forward. Keep in mind that this Neptune entering into the sign for the first time in over 160 years is a significant turning point in the cosmic weather, in our spiritual growth, in what we are understanding about who we came here to be, as we move into more energy mastery. And so I am going to pull in this Neptune that will be immediately conjunct retrograde Mercury at 0 degrees of Aries right after the solar eclipse within 24 hours. And this is a mental shift in our self-perceptions, in what's possible, in what new dreams may be arising in you, what new chapters in your life you wish to create, experience, and move towards. So there is extra power, extra spiritual power in this particular Aries solar eclipse. And there is an awakening here to more of who you are now, what's in alignment with your sense of self based on life experiences, what you've been through, what you've been healing since Chiron has been moving through Aries since 2018. Understanding what you want to start now because it deeply resonates and it's calling to you at a cellular level of your being. These are your gut instincts speaking up. There is an immediacy with Aries, fast moving, quick developments, a sense of things come through rapidly and change your life or change an area of your experience wherever this 9 degrees of Aries is in your chart. I have a separate video for you here on YouTube called How to Find a Degree Point in Your Chart. Please go check out that tutorial video if you need help identifying where 9 degrees of Aries is for you. So a new beginning is arriving, and it's happening in layers and waves of development. And it's asking you to step into your spiritual mastery and to live from a new sense of energy every day. So this means calling in and working with your intuition more regularly. This means looking at what you are trusting in yourself, perhaps for the first time in your life. This is allowing yourself to rebirth and move ahead, because it's an honoring of who you are now. And it also has potential. Now, because the Aries energy is the first sign of the zodiac, it's basically what kicks off the energy, ignites the spirit, ignites the flames. Something is calling to you to move ahead, and yet you don't see the full evidence or proof until Taurus season. So there could be enthusiasm, potential, possibility that you are feeling and experiencing, and you are meant to move towards it with this solar eclipse. And part of the eclipse energy here is that things from the past will be eclipsed out, will be removed. Now, this Neptune is technically, yes, at 29 degrees of Pisces, 57 minutes. The most completion that can occur here is at the end of Pisces. And Neptune is also conjunct this Venus at 28 degrees of Pisces retrograde, and still conjunct that North Node at 27 degrees of Pisces, giving us hope, a sense of openness and trust into what's to come, also supporting what we are calling in through divine timing. And then you can see that this Saturn is also inching closer to the North Node. Saturn at 24 degrees of Pisces is going to be conjunct Venus in April. And so this stellium here is showing you the timeline shift of removals. Saturn is the karma, the completions, the contracts, commitments, what you are closing out and moving away from, both in the physical world, which is Saturn's domain, and in your spiritual world, your energetic, emotional world. What you are maturing, tidying up, closing out. And as the Saturn approaches that North Node in Pisces, there is a turning point here of what's been achieved, as well as what still needs to be resolved. Saturn conjunct the North Node brings about serious developments in our world as well. Changes in leadership, authorities, bringing our attention to what in our physical lives is also ending and closing out, as it doesn't have the energy of the new consciousness or the new frequencies going forward. So with this eclipse, even though we're discussing these powerful beginnings, there's a lot of significant endings that are unfolding, both through what we can see, but also through the invisible or behind the scenes. So there will be serious announcements about the shape of the world. Industries, companies, corporations, governments are all under a lot of stress with this energy, and there will be some major announcements made about what is no longer working, no longer effective, what will no longer be a part of the structures, Saturn, because we are moving away from them. They are closing out. The Venus energy represents our personal finances, connections, relationships, self-worth. She is receiving more support from this Neptune, and she's in this almost exact conjunction to the North Node in Pisces. That's what's supporting Venus right now, because she's in between Neptune and Saturn transits, and that's not easy. The confusion, uncertainty, fatigue, and overwhelm are connected with Saturn and Neptune here in Pisces. And Venus is thankfully working with the North Node that gives her trust in what is shifting and changing, as well as what she needs to close out for her best and higher good. The strong Pisces energies also can stir up stress around the uncertainty. It can bring up what you don't know you can count on. And yet the Aries solar eclipse is count on yourself. Do what's best for yourself. Trust what is calling to you. If that is an opportunity, a new opening, a doorway that presents itself. You don't have to know the full path. You just take the steps forward that are showing up for you. And that's how the divine is assisting you during this grand transition. All of this is about change. All of this is about change. And how can I find my sure footing during all the change? This is your feet off the ground and leaping. This is that next leap of faith energy that is transitioning you more fully into your next experiences that will play out here over the next year. And the biggest life changes are occurring in these late degrees of Pisces and early degrees of Aries. So you would identify which house or houses contain these degree points in your chart to understand what is being removed, completed, and closed out so that a new beginning can arrive. Now, getting back to the Aries solar eclipse here, please note that Aries is ruled by Mars. And here we have Mars still in Cancer, still in retrograde shadow territory. Mars is direct, 22 degrees of Cancer, 47 minutes. Moving forward, gaining his own momentum and renewed trust in himself, what he needs. This Mars has learned what he's held back and repressed, what he hasn't fully owned or heard in himself. And this Mars is honestly exhausted, tired of being in the water, is ready to dry off and gain some strength, which will happen when he re-enters Leo. But until then, the reality is with this Mars in Cancer, we're still gaining strength in what we are trusting and what we want. Mars is in a square to Chiron at 22 degrees of Aries, showing us where we need to be more independent and to trust ourselves. But there could be fear around that. There could be fear around independence or doing something on your own. Am I capable? Can I handle it? Do I have everything I need in order to be successful? And Mars, again, he's not on solid ground. And so there could be inconsistencies here emotionally, where some days you feel strong and other days the fears creep in and you don't know if it's a safe choice. Part of Mars in Cancer and this extended journey of Mars retrograde and now direct in Cancer is reprogramming how to feel emotionally safe in a very dynamic, changing world, and learning that you can operate from that core sense of yourself. But it has to be an ongoing process of trusting, even when the energies are inconsistent. And because Mars is in Cancer, Cancer is ruled by the moon, and the moon is in Aries. So the moon and Mars are in mutual reception. And this Aries energy with the new moon is giving a boost to Mars to keep going forward, keep trusting, keep moving, and know that this is what is necessary. The new start is what's necessary, even though it's very, again, it can feel uncertain. It's the square, though, to this Chiron at 22 Aries that is the deeper fears. There can also be, with this particular square between Mars and Chiron, Mars can try to overcompensate and move too fast or do too much, and there could be an injury, a slowdown, an accident. So take heed, take caution, and try to regulate as much as possible here. Because even though it's an Aries new moon solar eclipse, Mars is not very strong. Mercury's retrograde in Aries. So the Aries planets aren't operating at 100% of their battery. And then Chiron in Aries is also asking to be aware, to just be more cautious. So it's a sense here that, okay, this is what I'm desiring to start. This is where I want to move forward. This is what's inspiring me. But temper that enthusiasm or the need for immediacy and adjust your expectations accordingly, because the ability to moderate enthusiasm could be a skill that's gained here, moderating the energy where it doesn't move full blast ahead, but rather you're working with these bigger forces here, because there's a lot of water in this solar eclipse. Not only that, Mars in Cancer, but of course these 4 planets and points in Pisces. We're feeling a lot, we're picking up a lot. You could feel much more sensitive, and you could feel much more empathetic, especially around these collective frequencies. Now, Mars, as he moves ahead, is in a trine to Saturn. And he will get to 24 degrees of Cancer, and we'll have that exact trine to Saturn the first week in April. It'll actually be at 25 degrees. So this is also where the Mars energy is gaining strength and going the distance with the trine to Saturn, and helping him see the long-term advantages as well as why it's important to stay the course at this time. And then we also have in the mix is this Mars making a sextile to Uranus at 24 degrees of Taurus, 38 minutes. And you can see how this Uranus is at 24 degrees of Taurus, sextiling this Saturn at 24 degrees of Pisces. They will actually be in an exact sextile when they're both at 25 degrees, but they're clearly still here in a almost exact sextile at 24 degrees. And this Uranus influence is the bigger shifts and changes in resources, finances, the economy. This Uranus is actually asking you to stay open to what you want now. It's not going to look the same as what you thought or expected even 6 months ago. Stay aware of what you want. And that this is also a time of allowing these water signs to flow openly and freely, and to work with how this Uranus and Taurus brings about unexpected developments when you're flowing with change and you're trusting the universe. Then Uranus comes through and brings in that unexpected next step, opportunity, something tangible, because that's how Taurus operates as fixed earth. Brings you something tangible and clear that supports what you need now. I'm just looking at this chart. There's so much dynamic change going on that I know it sounds repetitive, But I know it's also what we are experiencing in our lives, that every day has these shifts and developments coming through. And I feel that this Aries solar eclipse is basically blasting us into this new understanding of world experiences and how we are adapting to the changes. And this is where you want to monitor stress that's building up, how to release it and work with it, to not allow it to be stuck or circulating in the body, especially the emotional body. And I feel too like part of what we're needing to practice every day is how we energetically and emotionally release each day, so that we are not accumulating energies that are stuck or stagnant, that we're allowing today to be complete so that tomorrow is a fresh start. The sun rises again. How can I begin in a pure energy state? And again, not be holding on to the past. And in this case, the past could be last week, last month, last year. How can you keep the emotional and energetic flow circulating? We're in a big transition of simultaneous endings and beginnings. That is part of how 2025 will continue to unfold, and the energies will also last into early 2026. So with this Aries solar eclipse, you would want to give yourself a 1-year timeline of intentions, beginning points, the new chapters in your life you want to create and experience. Give yourself that 1-year timeline, because in 1 year, a lot is going to be changing permanently, and a lot is going to be opening up as well. So keep that in mind. This is the openings into more of who you are now, what you want next, and how you're being adaptable with the universe about the changes, how you're realistically accepting what is over and complete, what is lifting you up to move ahead, what is calling you forward into new experiences, and ultimately what you need to let go of in order to get there. Now, we're not going to have this Pisces stellium for long. Keep in mind that the North Node moves retrograde. So the North Node is going to continue through Pisces here. And of course, Saturn moves forward and Neptune moves forward. They both will enter Aries. So we have a focal point of endings that need to be honored. Need to be honored at an emotional level, energetic, physical. Chapters are closing this year. There are parts of our lives that we will never go back to. There's parts of the physical world we won't go back to. And so you could see how the new beginnings are a gift in ensuring that we are leaping from one lily pad to the next lily pad to move forward and move ahead. Now, the final piece here would be this Pluto in new territory at 3 degrees of Aquarius, 30 minutes. Aquarius energy is connecting us to future timelines, expanding our thoughts, allowing us to connect to a bigger picture, more possibilities and understandings that we wouldn't normally see or grasp. Pluto is coming through here and showing you any limitations that need to be deconstructed, that need to be shifted in order to evolve and move into these next level, very creative ways of expressing who you are. Aquarius is associated with community and humanity, as well as collective frequencies, but it's also about the individual and honoring your authentic nature, the gifts you came in with, how you're here to be different, a unique ray of light. Now, this Pluto at 3 degrees 30 minutes of Aquarius is moving forward and will station retrograde in early May, but is making a sextile to this Mercury at 0 degrees of Aries. And so I see this as cosmic computer of frequencies that are being transmitted to our individual minds. New ideas, possibilities, things you're meant to consider. Mercury retrograde, though, is to sit with it. And then Mercury re-enters Pisces here and is about playing with those possibilities, considering what could come about, expanding into your imagination and the higher realms. But it's worth noting that Pluto is transmitting to Mercury what those new starts can be, the new potentials here in these new frequencies. Now, this Pluto typically has a tight orb of about 3 degrees. And that's based on how fast Pluto moves in a calendar year. Pluto doesn't move very fast at all. In fact, this Pluto only gets to 3 degrees of Aquarius this year, and then it's going to retrograde back to 1 degree. So Pluto doesn't move quickly, and that influences the orb we use. So when we're looking at this Pluto at 3 degrees 30 minutes, would you say that it's sextiling the solar eclipse at 9 degrees? Well, not technically, because this would be out of orb from Pluto, but I'm actually going to bring it in and say that there will be an intensification of energy from Pluto, because right before this conjunction occurs, the moon will be at 3 degrees of Aries. That moon would then be sextiling Pluto, and then the moon moves forward and delivers to the sun that Pluto message, that Pluto feeling and sensation. And that would happen hours before the solar eclipse is exact. So after explaining the orb of Pluto, that it's a tight orb, I am going to say that the Pluto influence is here in this particular solar eclipse, because every eclipse is connected to the moon. And so if the moon was just in contact with Pluto, and this Mercury is in contact with Pluto, then Pluto does have a say and is influencing the new starts that are lining up and that are important, because they're taking us into a new world. But they're also guiding you into a new sense of yourself. And I feel that this Pluto is an important part of the rebirth and evolution that we're going through at an individual level, as well as what we need to consider as we align with the new starts that are showing up for us. Becoming a new version of yourself, a different version of yourself that I feel is even more supported by the cosmos. And I think a lot of people are going to have some big awakenings about what they came to do here on the planet, their gifts, their abilities, their cosmic origins. This also calls in visitations from other beings, off-planet revelations, even more around that. I mean, we know this has been going on for decades, and there have been documents released about astral travel and remote viewing, and of course, beings on other planets, technologies from other planets. So all of that is going to be integrated, exposed, and a big part of what unfolds during this Aries solar eclipse cycle. So this is a big one. It's a big one. And allow it to support you. Allow it to be a time when you're hearing and integrating who you are. There is a strong embodiment with the Aries energy. And so you could feel that you're getting insights into your own cellular renewal, new parts of your energy field coming online and being powerfully activated. we're definitely moving into this next version of what it means to be a human. And with Neptune entering Aries, we are becoming much more intuitive, expansive, and aware than ever before. So as always, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for your comments and your likes, subscribes. Thank you for sharing. And I do have some other videos for you here on my YouTube channel discussing Neptune in Aries, some of the energetic shifts we're moving through, as well as more about what is unfolding with the Aries solar eclipse. Thank you for being here, and I'll be back soon with another astrology chart video.